Hi guys, my name is Byrd, Yoga Byrd Sews, and welcome back to my channel. I am here today to give you a much closer look at my DVF dress. So before I get into all the details, I'm actually going to try it on. I'm going to show you how it all comes together. I'm going to show you all of the different features. But before doing that, let me tell you a little bit more about myself and let me tell you how this came to be. So I am a self-taught sewist. I've been sewing for just about 3 years. I sew everything from swimwear to line coats, faux leather pants, jackets, skirts, you name it. I sew for my family. I don't do much sewing for other people, but I do a lot of sewing for me and pretty much make most of my wardrobe. I have some tried and true techniques. These are not techniques that I've gotten from any fashion school or sewing school. It's just me doing my thing, right? So let me tell you guys about the DVF dress. So how did this come to be? So Simplicity, which I was floored and honored, guys. They reached out to me directly and asked whether or not I would be interested in getting one of these, the DVF pattern ahead of time to sew it up in time for the reissued, re-released DVF pattern. So what is a DVF pattern? DVF stands for Diane Von Furstenberg. She is an amazing designer. She's passed on, but she left an amazing legacy. Please go to Google right now and look her up. She is just incredible. But one of the things that she did was she did not create the wrap dress, but she certainly popularized the wrap dress when she created the DVF, and it has just gone viral. So let me tell you guys about the DVF. So when Simplicity reached out, again, I am a self-taught sewist, only been doing this for about 3 years, and I got this they sent me the pattern and this really cute little card, and it just simply says, "Thank you so much, Mimi G, Simplicity." So I am never going to let this go. I love this. I'm incredibly honored to be able to do this. And so they also enclosed a pattern. This was before it was released. And I can sew up any version that I wanted. Basically, there are 2 different versions of the DVF. So the DVF dress, it is a vintage Vogue pattern, V2000, recently reissued. You can get it on simplicity.com. It is from the 70s. Remember, I said this is the 50th year anniversary. It came out in 1974, actually. And so certainly 2024 marks 50 years since the DVF dress has been around. It's classic. Everyone pretty much has a DVF dress in their closet. And if you do not, you need to have a DVF in your closet. So it is a front wrap dress. It has 3 inches. If you're doing a short version, it's 3 inches below mid-knee. Or as you can see, guys, that's my style. I went for the full drama, and I went with a full-length dress. Some of the other features of this dress is it's slightly gathered at the front, tucked at the back, at the waistline. It has a fitted, so it's fitted around here, but then it flares out, the skirt flares out here. It is so flattering. This tie belt is incredible because, guys, it just, it cinches in that waist. And it really does an amazing job to make you look amazing in this dress. It has full-length sleeves with pointed cuffs. And so I'm going to get closer so you can see those pointed cuffs. And then there are buttons on both sides of the cuff. Very vintage, very neat the way that works out. You can do it with or without the collar. I went with the collar. It comes together so neatly, guys. There's a facing and that sort of thing in here. I would say that this is a beginner pattern. There are no buttons. There are no zippers. None of those different, well, there are buttons. I did say there are buttons, but there are other ways that you can get to sewing these on because you don't have to put on any button holes. You don't have to install buttonholes. So I would say that this absolutely is an easy, beginner-friendly pattern. All right, so that's the details on the pattern. Fabric. It's a unique dress in the sense that you can make the DVF out of stretch fabric, which is what I used. I actually purchased this fabric from my local Joann's, and it's just it's a two-way soft brushed jersey knit, and so you can see that little bit of stretch there, which I like because it really moves with me. But what is unique about this pattern is that you can also make it out of a woven, so something that is not stretched, like a silk, a cotton, and I'm actually planning to do one of those next, so I will share the details with you. Can't get into all the details here, but I will share it with you once I'm all done. Share the actual final make, tell you what I think about the pros and cons between making it as a woven garment versus out of a stretch knit. So that's really unique, that this can be made out of either a knit or a stretch fabric, or a woven fabric that does not stretch. And remember, you have the two different lengths, one that comes right below the knee and one that is full length, floor length. And then you have this tie belt that goes around the waist. I would say it goes around 1.5, maybe 2 times, depending upon the way that you count that. For me, you always measure myself beforehand. My bust, I'm a 42. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm a curvy girl, and I'm okay with that. My bust 42. It's the winter, so I always gain a little extra weight in the winter, but I'm okay with it. I'm comfortable in my skin. Bust 42, my waist is 39, and my hips are 49. So based on my size, I actually cut a size 20, and I graded to a size 22 at the hips because I wanted to make sure there was enough, right, for these hips. But I probably didn't really need to grade, but when I do this in a woven, I'm going to modify that a little bit because I'm not going to have that little bit of stretch. I probably will stay at the 22 at the bottom, and I'm going to do what is called a mock-up. So I'm going to do first a version of this in a woven, but with scrap fabric, just to see how the fit is. And I'm just going to do this part of the dress, so the bodice where you have the cross here, the cross section, and the back of the garment. I'm going to do that and mark it up and see how it fits. Really neat. There's a seam down the bottom. There is a waistline here, slightly gathered there. If you're hearing that little bit of clicking, my cat wanted to be in the room. I locked her in with me, and now she's scratching at the door, and she's not going to be able to get this door open. So if it becomes too annoying, I'm going to step off camera momentarily. If you've seen some of my live videos when I've done sew-alongs, Zoe the cat probably has made an appearance. She's the only one of our animals that will make an appearance. So back to the pattern, guys. I do believe the actual, so when you get into the actual instructions, there are very detailed instructions to walk you through this. And I'm pretty sure if there isn't a sew-along yet put up by Simplicity, there will be a sew-along put up by Simplicity pretty soon. So that will be incredibly helpful if you need a little help as you're making your way through the various steps. There are, as you look at the pattern, sorry for the ruffling of the paper, looking for page 1 of the pattern, the general instructions. So you always want to look at the general instructions to see what the seam allowance is. There are, for this particular pattern, I'm looking at the pattern pieces, guys. There are 12 pattern pieces. You have the skirt back, you have the skirt front, you have the bodice back, the bodice front, you have the sleeves, the cuffs, you have facings, you have the collar and everything, but really it does come together. So don't let the sheer number of pattern pieces dissuade you from doing this dress. I say, do it. You are going to be so incredibly thrilled by it. So what I wanted to do to give you a closer look at the DVF is I'm actually going to take it off my dress form. I don't have a fancy dress form, guys. I've only been sewing for 3 years. One day I will have a dress form that's way better than this. Right now, this is one that's closest to my body, and I crank it out at the waist and the hips to close to my side. Does that work? Absolutely not, but it's helpful. So anyway, let me get into this. So it ties around that way, and you can see that the tie part in the front is very deep. Now, the one thing I don't like about this particular fabric, I love the outside. I think it's gorgeous, but this isn't a fabric that is the same color on both sides. So the back of the fabric has this white tone. So fortunately, this is not the type of wrap dress that when you're moving, it's going to open up so you're going to see the inside of the fabric. You're not going to see the inside of the fabric. So I don't think it's really that big of a deal. But for me, I know what it looks like on the inside. I'm not feeling that, but it's a beautiful fabric. I just don't like when the fabric is like that on the inside. I like it to look the same on the inside as it does on the outside. And it's really hard to find fabric that is that way. All right, so as you can see, there's that cross front. This is a full-on real wrap dress with a belt that is joined kind of midway of the waist area. On the inside, there is actually a little area where the other belt, the one side of the belt kind of is threaded through, so it can go all the way around your waist. I did the collar version. I'm going to go ahead and slip this on. I put on something that I wasn't afraid to take off here. So you see I am curvy, so curvy girls out there, just remember this is for you. This is for everyone. All right, so let me take her off my dress form. You guys can see she's not perfect. This is the kind that cranks in and out in a couple different places. Does she look like me? Not really. I could crank her out a little bit more. She's a little bit wobbly, so not the most expensive. I think I paid about $129 for her, and it's okay, but I do want to get a good dress for her. So you just slip it on. So as soon as I slip it on, let me come closer, and you guys see those cuffs? I love that. And that button, the button, so you need 4 buttons. You're going to have it on both sides of the cuff. And you just simply sew the button through. I did one button, then I did the other button. You don't really need to have space between your button and your fabric, which you need to do if you're actually going to be buttoning something, because you need that space between the button and the actual fabric so that you can manipulate getting it on, right? You don't need to do this because you're not going to actually unbutton this at all. I think that is a really, really cool feature. I do want to make a version with short sleeves. And on the short sleeves version, I'm going to do these fancy cuffs too because I don't want to lose this feature. Okay, so the collar, remember that you can do a version without a collar, which is going to make it a little bit easier because that's one less piece of material or fabric. So now the cat's at my feet. So I like the collar. It's really easy. There's no stand or anything, and it just comes right into the bodice of the garment, and there is a facing. So I use my serger to finish most of my seams with a knit. Knits don't fray as a general rule, so you don't really have to do that. But if you want to do it, and I like to do that, I think the pattern instructions actually have you turning the garment in and then again so that you don't have any raw edges. But I like to serge mine. It saves a step and it reduces bulk. So this is what the dress looks like before I even begin to tie it up. So here is the tie. It is pretty long. If I remember correctly, when I was cutting out the tie, don't quote me, but I want to say that it needed to be, I needed to cut out like 5 yards. Does that make sense? Maybe total. Don't quote me on that, but it's a lot. And then I slip it through this little keyhole that the pattern instructions walk you through. And you just kind of pull it closed to your level of comfort. So because there's so much room in here, I might be able, when I do the woven version, to stick with this size. Because the woven version, I'm probably not going to be able to stretch it, right? So it's just going to lay on the body. And I think this size is actually going to work. So I just pull it through to whatever level of comfort that you want. Easily, I could have sized down on this. Easily, I could have sized down. But I'm okay with the way that it turned out. So then as you have the tie now, one that's threaded through that little keyhole. And then, let me move my dress form. I don't want to hit little Bernina there. So one that's through the little keyhole, and then the other one that is attached to the end of the other side of the bodice. And then you pull it around, and as you bring it back behind you, look at that, guys. Look how that looks back there. You pull it nice and tight to your level of comfort. I'm trying not to twist it. And pull it in front of you. Now, of course, I have on a sports bra. You won't have on a sports bra unless you want that for modesty. I felt like it didn't show any cleavage or anything. I'm not uncomfortable with cleavage, to be honest with you. A little bit of cleavage doesn't bother me, especially when I have a lot of dress going on. I need a little bit of skin, but that's just me, guys. I digress. So this is my sports bra. So imagine without the sports bra. And then you just pull the tie in front of you and you tie it. Now I have this loosely tied. You could tie it even tighter if you want it, but right away it cinches in the waist. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Look at that. I love the fabric and how it moves. And when I do this in a woven, I am going to actually use a cotton sateen. It's brand new fabric, guys, a brand new pattern print, so I'm excited about using it. And look at the way that this dress moves. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. And remember I said that I really did not like that it was white on the inside. The way that the wrap works is it's a very secure wrap. Meaning that that undergarment goes pretty far over. And it might be just because of the size that I cut, but because of that, as I'm moving, one, my legs are not showing, that white underpiece of the garment is not showing. It is very comfortable. So at the end of the day, my fabric worked out okay, and I'm really happy about that. So I'm glad I walked through this because I think when I do my woven garment, I think that I will be totally fine with this particular size all the way around. I think with the sleeves, there's enough wiggle room without them being stretched. And look at the little gathers at the shoulders. It's those little details that sets off a DVF wrap dress. And it has taken the world by storm. It is a very classic, timeless dress that, like I said, everyone needs one of these in their closet. You can make it fun, flirty, always by just changing up the type of material that you choose to use. So this is my DVF. What would I do differently? All right, so hacks. Possible hacks for me is there is the version that is shorter. I would maybe even hack it so it is 1 inch or 1.5 to 2 inches above my knee. I know, I'm good with that. I think it would be great. I also feel that because I am a person, I need pockets. There's Zoe. She's not going to leave me alone. Hey, Zoe, say hello to the people. I like pockets. Some people think that putting pockets in everything kind of takes away. Maybe, but I just always feel like I need some place for my hands. So that's a possible hack in addition to making an even shorter version. The other little minor hack modification is I would reduce the length of the sleeve, make it a short sleeve, but keep that cuff. I would even, especially with a woven fabric, I would make the shoulders more dramatic. So there's extra fabric here that you ease the shoulders, the sleeves into the shoulder area. I would maybe bring the shoulders up a little bit more like this. So like shorten, the length of the shoulder here and bring the sleeves up a little bit more. You have to make the adjustments on the length and the fit and all of those kinds of things and add a little bit more volume here. I can see myself doing that. I don't know if I would do the version without the collar because I really like that collar. Lost you just for a second because my phone told me I have 10% battery left. So don't go anywhere. I'm almost done. So this is my DVF, and let's hope that the next warning doesn't pop up as well. So this is a DVF. Do I recommend the pattern? 150%. I definitely recommend that. I can't speak to the woven yet because I haven't made it, but I'll be back and I'll share that with you. Definitely get a knit that is two-way. I don't know about four-way knits here, but definitely two-way knits. Interfacing. You're going to need interfacing here in the facing part of your dress and the collar. Go with something super light. If you put extra stiff interfacing here, I do believe that it's going to change the structure of the dress. Even when I do a woven, I'm going to go with an incredibly lightweight, just enough to give me structure, but will not take away from the design of the garment. So last look, guys, at my DVF. Thank you guys so much for dropping in. Remember, this is a Vogue 2000. It is the reissued, re-release Diane von Furstenberg's wrap dress from 1974. So imagine having a garment 50 years later that everyone loves and is still running out to buy, purchase, and to make. So again, guys, thank you so much for stopping in and listening. Drop your comments, drop your questions, please. I love to engage. You can find me on all of the social media sites from TikTok, Instagram, right here on YouTube, of course, Facebook, and Threads. So I appreciate you guys so much. Happy sewing, guys, and bye-bye for now.